In this video, here's what we'll cover: why arguments are rarely about the surface topic, what nonviolent communication is, the four components, step by step, how it differs from the patterns we learned, self-empathy, and where to start. Think about the last time you had a fight about something small. The dishes, a forgotten errand, a comment that landed the wrong way. If you look closely, the thing you argued about was almost never the real thing. The fight about who forgot to call the plumber is usually about feeling unheard. The standoff at the dinner table is usually about a need for respect that has gone unnoticed for too long. The cold silence after a hard week is usually about longing for connection, expressed through withdrawal because speaking up feels too risky. This is the insight the psychologist and mediator Marshall Rosenberg built his whole approach around. Conflict is rarely about the surface content. It is about unmet needs, and what happens when those needs come out as blame, criticism, demands, or silence instead of honest, direct words. So let me walk you through it. What this way of communicating is, how it works, and how it is different from the patterns most of us grew up with. Rosenberg called his model nonviolent communication, or NVC. He first described it in a book published in the late 1990s. The word violence here does not only mean physical harm, it means any communication that disconnects us from one another. Criticism, blame, labeling, demands, judgment, comparison. Rosenberg noticed that most of us learned to speak in ways that, despite our best intentions, create distance and defensiveness rather than understanding. NVC offers a genuine alternative, built on compassion, honesty, and the idea that all of us share the same basic human needs. The model has 4 parts, and they work both for expressing yourself and for listening to someone else. The first is observation. You describe what you actually saw or heard, the plain facts, without mixing in your interpretation. An evaluation invites an argument about whether it is true. An observation is much harder to dispute because it points to something that actually happened. The second is feelings. You name your real emotional experience, not a thought about what the other person is doing. I feel lonely and a bit invisible is a feeling. I feel like you don't care about me is a judgment wearing a feeling's clothes. And here is a subtle one. Words like ignored, disrespected, or abandoned sound like feelings, but they are really accusations about someone else's behavior. Genuine feeling words are things like lonely, scared, frustrated, hurt, relieved, or grateful. The third, and the most powerful, is needs. Underneath every feeling sits a need for connection, respect, safety, understanding, autonomy, or rest. One invites a fight, the other invites empathy. The fourth is a request. You ask for something specific and doable, while leaving real room for the other person to say no. That last part is what separates a request from a demand. A demand is enforced through guilt, punishment, or the cold shoulder. A request stays genuinely open to a different answer, and it needs to be concrete. Be more supportive gives someone nothing to act on. Would you be willing to listen for 5 minutes when I talk about my day? Before offering solutions gives them something clear. It helps to see what NVC is standing against. Passive aggression, the eye roll, the clipped fine, the indirect jab, expresses hard feelings through channels you can always deny. It breeds confusion and resentment. Suppression, saying nothing and telling yourself it does not matter, can look like keeping the peace, but the feeling tends to build up over time. And direct attack, criticism and contempt, is perhaps the most damaging of all. The relationship researcher John Gottman found it to be one of the strongest warning signs for a relationship in trouble. NVC takes the blame out of the equation, so you can express a strong feeling and an important need without shutting the other person down. There is one more piece that I think matters most, and it is self-empathy. Before you can genuinely offer understanding to another person, you need to be able to turn that same attention inward. To notice, I am feeling scared, and my need for security is not being met right now, rather than either burying it or firing it outward as blame. Self-empathy is not self-pity. It is honest attention to your own inner world. And in my experience, it often has to be learned, especially for people who grew up in homes where feelings were unsafe or dismissed. None of this comes naturally at first, and that is completely normal. It is a skill, and like any skill, it grows with practice. Ideally, somewhere the stakes feel safe. That is a lot of what counseling offers: a shared language and a space to slow reactive conversations down and get underneath the argument to what each person actually needs. If you find yourself in cycles of conflict that never quite resolve, this is workable. At Potentials Unlimited in Bella Vista, we offer individual, couples, and family counseling with these principles woven throughout. You can read the full guide or book an appointment using the links in the description below. Before you go, here's a quick recap of what we covered: why arguments are really about the surface topic, what nonviolent communication is, the four components, step by step, how it differs from the patterns we learned, self-empathy, and where to start.